Welcome to an invitation. I'm Elizabeth Stone, and today I'm inviting you to learn how to make our famous grilled chicken enchiladas. This was the very first catering recipe I ever did, and it's still a winner today. It's our #1 bestseller, so I'm going to teach you the tricks of the trade so you can make it at home. It takes a little bit of time, but it's really yummy when you do it. First thing we're going to do is grill the chicken. So now I've got 3 chicken breasts. Now these chicken breasts look like they came from a turkey, but they really are chicken breasts. You can grill these. I've got a grill. This is a cast iron grill pan that I like to use when I'm doing it inside. You could absolutely do this outside on your grill if you prefer to do that. And if you don't want to grill it at all, you can definitely cook these in the oven if you'd rather do that, or boil it. I just like the flavor that comes from the grilled chicken. It gives the enchiladas a nice, interesting flavor. So we're going to cook these about 3 to 4 minutes on each side. Make sure the chicken is completely done, and then we'll chop it up. So after this is done, we'll start making the other pieces of the enchiladas. So to make the filling for the enchiladas, we have the chicken ready, and we're going to cut it into little cubes, but there are 2 things that go inside the enchiladas. There's a cilantro onion mix, which gives it a beautiful flavor. Then we have Monterey Jack cheese, and we also have our tomatillo sauce. The tomatillo sauce recipe is down in the description if you want to make this. You can also buy a tomatillo sauce in a jar and add a little cream to it if you want a shortcut to make tomatillo sauce. I love to do these with tomatillo sauce. Some people like to use different sauces, but you'll see when we get finished that how I make these special enchiladas. So we're going to start with a cup of minced onions, and I'm putting them in the skillet. There is nothing in the skillet. So I've got these dry. I'm going to dry saute them, and we're going to just let them cook a little bit. And like with all onions, you want to cook them until they start to become translucent. And I'm just moving them around so that they don't get stuck, because I don't have any oil here, but I don't really want to fry them because I don't want to add any extra oil to the enchiladas. So we're just going to do a nice dry saute. And what's really yummy is you can start to smell the aroma of the onions. There's nothing that smells better than cooked onions cooking. It just makes the whole house smell wonderful. And we're going to add, this is about a cup of minced cilantro. This is an important piece of this recipe. Even if you don't like raw cilantro, the flavor that cilantro puts into this recipe is wonderful. I have a lot of people that don't like cilantro but love these enchiladas, so don't be afraid of that. If you're really, really opposed to cilantro, you could do this with parsley if you wanted to. But I think the cilantro is a nice touch, and it really gives it a depth of flavor. You know, enchiladas are interesting. Some people make them very simple. Some people make them with corn tortillas, some with flour, some with cheese. How about you? What are your favorite enchiladas? I'd love to know what those are. These are my very favorite. These are my grilled chicken enchiladas with tomatillo sauce, but I do like all enchiladas, so tell me what you like. All right, these are almost done. You can see they've started to get a little bit translucent. They're no longer bright white, so that's all I'm looking for. Then I'm going to toss in this cilantro. So we've got about a cup of cilantro. And again, this is all dry saute. It's not a wet saute. There's no oil in it. We're just steaming these. So all I want to do here is get this all cooked together so that, oh boy, that aroma smells good. So we can get these ready to go inside the enchiladas. So we're just going to let this cook for another 30 seconds or so until the cilantro is completely wilted, and you can see how this is all coming together. And it's just making a nice little mixture. Now you can see the cilantro is no longer in leaves. It's starting to get very soft, and we're just about done. You don't want to brown it. We're just cooking these and opening them up so we have a beautiful flavor. So here it is in the bowl, but I wanted to add one more thing. A lot of people really think, or they don't like cilantro. It's really a gene that you have, that you either like the taste or you don't like the taste. It's one of your taste buds. People that don't like cilantro say that it tastes like soap. And then what I usually tell people, it's a love-hate. You either love it or you hate it. I love it. But when you cook it, it completely changes that flavor, and that soapiness that you taste if you don't like cilantro goes away. So that's why I say people that don't like cilantro still love these enchiladas, because that's not what you're tasting when you cook it like this. So just an FYI for you to have. Now we're gonna do the last piece of preparing for this, and this is to fry our tortillas. So I'm gonna put some oil in the skillet here, and just a little bit of oil. It's a couple of, maybe a quarter cup. And obviously I got a little water in there. We don't want to do that. That's why it's popping. But when you're making enchiladas and you have tortillas, you need to run them through the oil to seal them, because if you don't, when you use them, they will break apart. So we're using flour tortillas. That's what makes one of these things about this recipe that makes it special, is my flour tortillas. Most people use corn, but I like to use flour here. They hold up better. So you see, I'm just going to put them in the oil that's hot, flip it over, and we're just going to let it cook just briefly, as you can see, very briefly. Now, when it starts to puff like that, you want to pull it out, because then it is done. So that didn't take very long, but we're going to run all of these through here so that we get that. And you can see it's nice and hot. Just a quick flip. If it's not hot enough to start to bubble your enchiladas, then you want to let it get a little bit hotter. And the other thing is, you don't want to leave it too long, because then they will get crispy and you won't be able to fold them. But this way, we're putting a seal on them so that they don't start to break down, and we are making them pliable so when we make the enchiladas, you can roll them correctly. Now we have everything ready to assemble the enchiladas. So we have shredded Monterey Jack cheese. We have our 2 pounds of grilled chicken that I've cut into these nice little pieces. We have our cilantro and onion that we sauteed. We have our tomatillo sauce, and we have our flour tortillas. So let's start the assembly process. I like to do them sort of 4 at a time. It makes it a little bit easier rather than doing them 1 at a time. And so we take about a tablespoon of sauce to go inside each enchilada. And if you want the exact recipe for the sauce, you can look in the description section and find all of the recipes. And then I'm going to come with a little bit of this cilantro onion mixer. It doesn't take a lot. It's about a teaspoon in each one. Handful of chicken. When I first started making these, I put way too much filling in them and you couldn't even roll them. So you have to kind of manage this. So these were the first recipe I ever made for catering. I had a client call me and said she wanted a tomatillo enchilada, and I thought, oh great, I can do that. That's wonderful. Then I'm going to add a little cheese to these like this, just kind of cover the chicken with the cheese. And it didn't occur to me at that time to ask her if she wanted flour or corn tortillas, because I was a brand new caterer. I absolutely knew nothing about what I was doing, so I was just trying to figure it out. So I made them with flour tortillas. It turns out, she said they were the best enchiladas she'd ever had. And guess what? They're still our #1 bestseller today, 37 years later, and we're still selling them. So one of the things I like to share with people is I'm going to put these into a Pyrex dish so that we can bake them. You do not need to grease the Pyrex ahead of time. There's enough oil on the outside of the enchiladas. Usually in a Pyrex, I will do 12 enchiladas. If your Pyrex is smaller, you can do a smaller amount, but when I'm making enchiladas, I usually like to make a lot. If you wanted to make these ahead, you could make these ahead and refrigerate these for up to a day, or you can freeze these for up to 6 months. This would be the spot where you want to freeze them, is when they're made but not yet cooked, if you wanted to do that. You're going to bake these in the oven for from fresh like this, about 30 to 40 minutes at 350 degrees until they're nice and bubbly. And you'll see when I assemble them, we're going to pour extra sauce on the top, and then right before they come out of the oven, I always add some extra cheese on the top. We finished rolling the enchiladas. They're now ready to go into the oven, so I'm going to take this tomatillo sauce and put them on top of here. So you're just going to drizzle it. You definitely want to cover it with the tomatillo sauce. I kind of spread it out because that way when you're cooking it, the enchiladas do not, if the tortillas are exposed, they tend to burn, and we don't want that to happen. And we're gonna cook these uncovered for about 30 to 35 minutes until they're bubbly. And right before they come out of the oven, we're gonna add some extra cheese to them. Now let's put them in the oven so we can try these out. Look at these beautiful enchiladas. And you can see I added the cheese to the top of them, and it's nice and melty. And what I like to do is I have these pretty rattan servers, so I can put it right into the server. And now it's ready to go right on to the buffet, just like that. Isn't that beautiful? Now, we have to taste because these are just one of my favorites. So let me get one out of here. The first one's always the hardest to get out, but once you get the first one out, the rest of them are fairly simple. And usually I estimate 2 enchiladas per person when we're serving these. And you can have, as I said, you can have some extra sauce on the side if you'd like. I'm gonna put just a little bit of extra sauce on there. And then, again, I like to garnish. I'm gonna use a little bit of parsley and one of my pretty purple flowers from my garden. And then, of course, you could serve this with a salad, or you could serve it with rice and beans, whatever you like. A lot of times I do this with just a salad for dinner, and it's beautiful. And I just want to remind you, this is a shout out to my friend Sarah, who lives in Nova Scotia. She hates cilantro. It tastes like soap to her. But these are her favorite enchiladas. Isn't that amazing? So Sarah, here's to you. These are for you, girl. Let's give a taste. Mmm. So good. You can taste the tomatillo sauce. You're gonna love these. Give them a try. All your guests will love them. Remember, whatever you do, enjoy cooking, enjoy the experience, but most importantly, we gotta do that over. I did it wrong. Remember, friends, it's all about enjoyment. Enjoy cooking, enjoy entertaining, but most importantly, enjoy the experience. Cheers. Till next time.